You've been trying to beat anxiety the hard way, and nobody tells you this. There are five simple habits that actually move your nervous system out of survival mode and into real recovery. Habits almost nobody talks about, but they are complete game changers. And if you start doing the work every day, you never miss a day, your anxiety won't stand a chance. I'm Helmut, the mindful gardener. I dealt with over 75 plus symptoms, among them intrusive thoughts, OCD looping thoughts, relentless anxiety, right? I didn't have a pause button. There was no break from this. I had a safe room that I would pace back and forth trying to figure out how to get rid of my symptoms and my thoughts. And the more I did that, the worse they got. Nothing was working. These five habits were the missing piece to my recovery. I did these every day, and then eventually I got my life back. And now I don't deal with anxiety, intrusive thoughts, or OCD looping thoughts anymore. I've got my life back. I'm finally free. And the anxiety and the OCD is gone for good. Follow me while we break down the five habits that you need to apply to your everyday life that will get you your life back. I promise. Let's get into it. Now, before we get into the five habits that you need to do every day, why don't we do a little bit of a lesson on why you're dealing with anxiety? Right? And I'll make it quick. So, the reason why you're dealing with anxiety is because you're in a survival state. You get the alarms ringing, right? The anxiety is a literal alarm to try to get your attention to the danger that you're in because you've been in survival for too long, right? Over the years, life put you through some curveballs. Maybe that relationship you were in for too long with that narcissist. Maybe you were in a shitty job environment. Maybe you had childhood trauma. Maybe you had divorced parents. Maybe a pet died. Maybe you're involved in a lot of drugs, drinking, things that are invasive to the body, things that affect us mentally or physically, right, can bring us to that survival state. And not only that, it could start to fill up our stress bucket. Over time, when this thing fills up, it starts to spill over. Maybe your parents were divorced. Maybe you're dealing with stressful situations at school. So when your stress bucket starts to fill up and spills over, symptoms start to manifest. And one of the biggest ones, one of the first ones, is anxiety, right? Or OCD looping thoughts. They're just trying to get your attention to the allostatic loads that are starting to fill up. And it's asking for your attention to start emptying the allostatic loads. And it wants you to start bringing the survival state down from 1,000, right? The red zone back down to 0, the green zone, right? We want to turn off these alarms one at a time. Physical alarms, and of course, the anxiety, the mental alarms. Here's some more examples of things that fill up our stress bucket, right? School bullying. Maybe you were a smoker. Maybe you're involved in a lot of drugs, toxic relationships, like I mentioned earlier, medications, antibiotics, surgeries, right? Work stress, flu shots, COVID shots. Maybe you had Lyme. Maybe you had COVID, infections, pneumonia, mold. Maybe you're in a moldy house, supplements, probiotics. And I got two more on my list. What about the fear of symptoms, right? Having symptoms can freak you out. That also fills the stress bucket. And it brings your survival state up even higher. And we all know those Facebook groups or Reddit or researching or Googling, right? Some of these Facebook groups are so toxic, it creates a different reality, right? And you think you got something crazy like ALS or something like some crazy disease that you can't heal from. And you think you're a special case. You think you're never going to heal. You think you're going to go crazy. I'm here to tell you, you're not a special case. You can fully recover. You just got to do the work. So now you know the reason why you're hearing and dealing with this alarm, right? And what we want to try to do, and of course, what we're trying to do is we're trying to smash that alarm to turn it off. But we got to go to the root, right? And the thing is, the more you try to get rid of any type of alarm, the more it stays. Because you're reaffirming to the alarm system, right? We're trying to get rid of something. What are we trying to get rid of? The danger. So if there's danger there, the brain goes, keep that alarm on. And remember this, what you resist, if you're trying to resist it, What you resist persists. So that brings us to our first habit. Instead of trying to get rid of your symptoms or your anxiety or your OCD looping thoughts, if you have a what if thought that's driving you crazy, instead of trying to get rid of it or distract from it, right? Right, you're trying to forget it. You're trying to quickly do something else so you forget. Instead of doing that, right? Because when you do that, you resist it. And what did I say? What you resist persists. It actually grows bigger. And the reason is its one job is to keep you alive. So it's going to do everything in its power to get your attention. And the anxiety is the way it does it. So when you ignore an alarm, the alarm has to get louder to get your attention. The brain is very smart. It's you. It's got to find ways to get your attention. So, what's the point of an alarm? The point of an alarm is to be heard and to be acknowledged. It's just a signal for us to pay attention to and make those big changes. So, if you're dealing with, first of all, if you're in a toxic relationship, get out. I like to say toxic relationship, get out. If you're in a bad, toxic work environment where your boss is a dickhead and your coworkers throw you under the bus all the time and you're constantly stressed at work, you got to figure out a way to get out. Find another job. I know it takes time. We got to pay our bills. But at the end of the day, this is your health. If you're dealing with some toxic friends, cut them loose. The thing is, the nervous system is acting accordingly because you're literally dealing with a bear or a tiger in the room with you, right? So it's going to react normally. It's doing its job, right? There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You're not injured. The brain is doing its job perfectly. So first, if you're dealing with any stressful situation, try to get out of it, right? We need to be in a safe environment. Now, let's get back to our first habit that you need to try to do. As I said earlier, what you resist persists. So what are we going to try to do instead of going like this, right? Instead of trying to get rid of what? The tiger, you're fighting off the liger, which keeps the alarms on. We're going to do this. We're going to change the attitude. We're going to change our attitude from getting rid of the danger to inviting it in. Instead of trying to get rid of your anxiety, this is the key. This is the gold. Listen up, right? This is it. Allow it to be there. Let it do its thing. Sit in the fear, right? Sit in the fear and picture yourself sitting in it and allowing it with no strings attached, right? And feel it in your chest. This is what you want to do. Pretend this is a big vortex vacuum, right? And then there's this cloud of anxiety with this purple face that's just moving towards your chest, right? And what you want to do is picture it floating through your chest and your neck, just like this. And we're going to allow it to be there. We're going to dissolve that energy, right? The emotion behind that is the fear. That's our goal. Kind of like Pac-Man, right? Pac-Man is eating all the ghosts that are coming back. Yeah, your job, you're Pac-Man. You got, right? This is Pac-Man eating the cloud of anxiety, energy, the fear emotion behind it. 9 times out of 10, it's the fear that we're trying to dissolve in our chest, right? We've been activated. Now we're integrating it, right? We integrate it and you repeat when needed. So instead of resisting it, trying to get rid of it, this time what I want you to do is allow it and do it for like 3 to 5 minutes, right? 3 to 5 minutes. And then here's the important part. Don't forget this very important part. You need to move on and engage. So when you engage, you don't want to engage back into anything to do with your symptoms or Googling or ruminating. No. You need to engage and move on with something like going for a walk, with something like cooking, cutting the grass, shoveling the snow, going shopping, right? You need to move on. And if that thought bugs you again and it's trying to get your attention, do it again. You allow it, you feel it, you integrate it. 3 to 5 minutes, you engage, you move on. Don't forget. Because if you don't move on, and you sit there for too long, what's going to happen? It gets its power back, and you're going to be sucked into the rumination again, and you're going to reactivate it. It's going to be strong. You're going to be pouring gasoline on the fire. So, what we're trying to do is we're trying to take away the resistance of the thought, of the anxiety. When you take away the resistance and you don't fight it, right? When you fight it, the survival state goes up and it goes mayday, 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 and it sends you more of the anxiety. We don't want that. We want that fire to naturally die out. We don't want to feed the fire. When you have that inner tension by fighting, that survival state goes up and it gets reactivated into a full on alarm. The next important habit that you need to get into, and it's very difficult, you will get better at it, is you got to be aware of your old behavior patterns, right? How are you going to change anything if you're not aware? So, what you got to do is you got to catch your behavior pattern and you got to keep catching your behavior pattern. And then you got to change it and you got to keep changing it. So, for example, talking about symptoms to your friends and your mom and your husband and your wife, right? Stop talking about symptoms. We don't want to send a message of danger while being in the danger. We want to send a message of safety while being in the danger. And over time, when we do that, we build that leverage of indifference and it updates. Not right away. You got to keep doing this. Repetition is key, but eventually it will update. So stop talking to Sally about symptoms or Googling or talking to people online about, yeah, but I feel like, yeah, but I'm feeling because, well, yeah, but maybe I should fix it. I think I have a problem with the motherfucker gene. Stop Googling. Stop going down the rabbit holes of Facebook, right? Stop trying to fix the mitochondria, right? Stop trying to detox or patch the holes in your leaky gut. This is where you got to catch your behavior patterns. How many times in a day are you resisting your thoughts? Right? Catch it. Go. Oh yeah, I'm resisting. I'm trying to get rid of my thought. Okay, we're gonna allow. We're gonna allow it to be there. And then you know what? I gotta engage. Where's my schedule routine? Right? And this is the next habit. You need to create a routine. Right? So we allow. You're aware of your behavior pattern. So you're not body checking. You're not checking your heart rate. You're not checking your blood pressure. You're not checking your temperature. Don't be body checking. Don't talk about symptoms. Don't be researching. You got to think at the end of the day, is this going to support my recovery? No. Is this going to feed the fire? Yes. Okay. I caught it. I'm aware of it. I'm not going to do that again. So, being aware of behavior patterns is key, very important. It's very difficult in the beginning because the brain is very efficient and is sneaking. We don't even notice our habits. But this will allow you to catch them, see them, and change them. And once you change them, you're not feeding the fire. You'll get better at this the more you do it. I promise you. So the next thing you got to do is get a calendar and have a routine. Routine is very important because if you're sitting on the couch doing nothing, the brain will hijack you. And here comes the anxiety, and it will win. It has to win. That's its job. Its job is to keep you alive. It doesn't care if you suffer. At the end of the day, if you're alive, that's it. That's all it cares about. So if you're sitting on the couch and it needs to get your attention to the danger of the liger that's going to eat your head off, right? It's trying to get your attention. You're going to end up ruminating on the couch. And before you know it, you're like, it's been 3 hours and I've been researching, freaking out and catastrophizing, right? While I'm eating catastrophize. We want you to be prepared, right? And to have this tool of a routine to serve you so that you're successful. If you're ever wondering during the day, oh, what am I supposed to do right now? I'm kind of freaking out. I'm having an anxiety attack. It's 2 o'clock. What am I supposed to do? Get your calendar, look at it. Oh, it says you're supposed to go on your walk, right? So then go do that. We want the routine to help you engage throughout the day. In the beginning of the journey, we don't want to have too much time where you're doing nothing because it will hijack you. It will win, right? And it's going to delay your recovery. So get a calendar and have a solid routine that you follow. every day, never miss a day. All right, the last two habits. These are also important, right? You want to get out there and do some walk and talks, right? Get out in nature, put it in your routine schedule every day, at least 1 hour, maybe 2 half-hour blocks where you get outside, get in nature, and you just go for a walk, right? We don't care how fast you're going. We don't care how long ish. We don't care how fast you're going. We're just walking, right? No crazy expectations. We're just walking. And you know what? Talk, walk and talk. That's what I used to do. I used to talk about my goals, things that I wanted to do, anything that I wanted. Maybe do a visualization while you're walking. You can talk about anything you want. Just make sure you get outside in nature every day and you walk for at least an hour a day. Very important because it helps ground you. It also makes you sit and dose the dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. What the dose does, it helps bring that survival state down over time, right? And if you're consistent every day, it'll have no choice but to change. You will be programming the safety by doing the walk and talks, and the survival state will come down and it will turn off alarms one at a time. Allowing is another form of safety, also, because you're allowing that symptom to be there and let it do its thing. You're allowing the anxiety to do its thing without trying to stop it, which also brings a message of safety. So make sure you get out in nature. This is what I had to do every day, and it works. In the beginning, when you do these habits, you're not going to like it. It's going to be difficult, right? You might get more anxiety, actually. But eventually, you're going to love it and you're going to feel better. The last one is pretty important, right? You want to start to have some playtime. You want to elevate your mood, right? Normally, you might be angry all the time, miserable, researching, catastrophizing, freaking out. We're not going to be doing that anymore. That sets a survival baseline. We want to elevate, which sends a message of safety, which is also another form of sitting in the dose, right? And it will turn off alarms and bring that survival state down. Listen to 70s music, get into the groove of things, right? Forget me now, hit up and go. I was constantly listening to reggae because it made me feel good, made me happy. I loved it. And try to elevate for 1 hour a day. So you're allowing throughout the day whenever possible. You have a routine that you're following. You're being aware of old behavior patterns. You're elevating and you're going out for your walks every day in nature. All these together are a powerful punch that you need to get to the other side of recovery. Trust me, it works. And make sure when you're allowing, you're fully allowing. You're not doing it with any strings attached. When you allow, there's no expectations to get rid of the symptoms, right? So every time you allow, don't be going like, are you gone yet? Are you? Because every time you do this, you're telling the brain that you're looking for what? We're looking for danger. Is the coast clear? The coast clear from what? The liger? Right? You got to pay attention to how you respond because the brain is like a surveillance system constantly monitoring you, right? That's how it knows what to update the system for. Are we updating it for survival? Or are we updating it to a program of chill the fuck out, right? Back to ease, back to rest and digest. Can we turn these alarms off now, finally? Right? That's what it wants to know. And it's up to you to let it know because you are the programmer. At the end of the day, you're the one in charge. The reason why you're here is because of the way you responded. It's not your fault. I get it. Life threw you curveballs, not your fault. But now you're in the driver's seat. You don't need any medications or supplements or you don't need to do any crazy detoxes, right? Nothing. None of that. No crazy diets. All you got to do is these 5 habits and it will bring you to recovery. If you need any support, join the membership. It's in the description, right? And I'm also available for group coaching, weekly group coaching, and I'll help you get to the other side. If you do the work and show up, you're going to get there. It's not even a thing, right? It's going to happen. So please like, share, and subscribe. Get out there and get uncomfortable.